Greetings. Thanks for joining me today. We're going to try something a little bit different today. I'm videoing from my favorite yoga spot outdoors. That presents a couple of challenges. So you're going to see a squirt bottle in the picture. This is my reminder to my animals that are now wandering in and out of the picture as I'm starting a video, that it's yoga time and they need to leave mom alone and stay away from the mat. It only has water in it, so if you're an animal lover, don't be concerned. I'm not using anything that can harm anyone, but that's just a reminder to step away from the mat. You'll also see some bees buzzing around me. Those are just wood bees, so they don't pose any danger to me. So if you're not crazy about bees, rest assured they're not going to hurt me. They're more of a nuisance to our woodwork out here than anything. But I wanted to share this space with you guys because it is my favorite yoga spot, and I've tried to angle the camera so that in terms of seeing what I'm doing in poses, although you can't see me as clearly with the lighting, as far as the silhouette, I think you're good on seeing what you need to in terms of poses. And as usual with yoga, listen to the cues. You want to operate as much as possible by voice and following the cues anyhow. So let's go ahead and begin. If you've got some yoga blocks, if you'll bring those into play. I've had a request to do something specifically for beginners, and although this is not that video, I do want all my videos ideally to be accessible to folks that are just beginning yoga. So I'll try to encourage use of blocks more often today. If you don't have them on the flip side, it's not a problem. You can still do everything we're doing. The blocks just make things a little more accessible and a little easier. For starters, I'm going to sit on my block. We're going to start in a seated position this morning, which is different than my usual starting position. This flow was inspired by yard work this weekend. I did lots of yard work, and as a result was sore in the upper body, shoulders, upper back, upper arms, my forearms, my wrist, lots of different yard work activities involved, all kinds of things that involved pulling, trimming, clipping, so all parts of my arms, upper back came into play. So the flow that you're going to do with me today, I specifically used myself just based on what felt good to me, what my body needed after that yard work. So if you're needing a little upper body stretch, this is the flow for you. That being said, like I said, if you've got something to prop yourself up on, that makes your seated position a little more comfortable. If your hips can be above your knees, that will help your upright position be a little more accessible here. We're going to start with a nice tall spine, a little bit of breath work, as we usually do. Imagine a string at the top of your head, like a marionette, if you will, lifting us toward the ceiling, just creating space between your vertebrae as it pulls you upright. And just start to get in touch with your breath. You can close your eyes or just a soft gaze. You might even choose to place your hands on your belly if you like. If not, just let them rest on your thighs, your knees, whatever's comfortable, palms up or down. And just begin to notice your breath. Set aside other thoughts, other distractions. Anything that's important will still be there for you when you leave the mat. So let your mat be a sacred place, if you will. Not letting other thoughts wander onto the mat. And as they do, we're human, that's going to happen. As they do, just acknowledge those thoughts and then let them go, not having any attachment to them, not holding on to them. Take nice, slow, deep breaths in through the nose, and at this point just out through your nose. As you do, just noticing the movement in the body. Again, if you wish to place your hands on your belly even for a few breaths. Notice as you inhale the air filling the belly, the ribs then expanding, the air moving into the chest rising. And as you exhale, the chest sinking, ribs contracting, belly falling back into place. Just follow the rhythm of your breath. Inhale, belly expands, the ribs widen, the chest rises. And as you exhale, chest falls, ribs contract, belly sinks. 2 to 3 more nice deep breaths. I hope to post a video soon on just stress relief breath work you could do even as in a seated position if you're in an office or at home with kids, whatever the case might be. Lots of value in being able to calm your breath and slow your breath, and we'll talk more about that in another video. Let's take a few breaths together. Again, nice slow inhale through your nose, a deep breath. This time as you exhale, open the mouth, let it go. And again, inhale through the nose. Exhale through an open mouth. Let it go. Very nice. Gently seal your lips. You'll breathe in and out through the nose in our practice. And as always, remember this is your practice. So anything that doesn't feel right for you or doesn't feel appropriate at the time, choose any posture you wish. Feel free to modify, choose a posture, a totally different posture if you need to at times that's more comfortable for you. Know your body, listen to your body. So I mentioned this was going to be an upper body focused flow, totally inspired by some soreness in my upper body this week. So just begin by taking one forearm and with the fingers, the thumb of your other hand, just massage your forearm for a moment. Pressing into both sides, applying some pressure with your thumb on one side of the forearm and then all 4 fingers, especially your second, third, fourth finger on the other side of your forearm. And I'm just kind of applying pressure and creating some small circles as I do so. Just any place in the forearm that feels like it might need it. And of course, as we're doing this, we're working the fingers and the wrist. We'll create some therapy in a moment for those. So let's switch forearms. Just do the same thing to your other forearm. Again, your eyes might be closed now or just a soft gaze. Thanks for joining me. By the way, I really appreciate you guys. For those of you that are used to practicing with me in person, I miss you. Look forward to being able to see your faces and practice with you in person again. Anything you gain, hopefully gain something from practicing with me. I assure you, anything you gain, I gain more from being able to be part of your practice. And then let's bring the hands together, interlace all 10 fingers. We're just going to create figure 8s with the wrist. Just a little bit of wrist therapy here for a moment. Just winding the wrist one direction and the other. And then if you'll release that, take one arm, doesn't matter which, just cross it over your body. We're going to hook it with the other arm, just putting a bend in that opposite elbow. As I'm doing this, I'm pressing the shoulder of my extended arm down. So rather than letting that stay up here close to my ear, as I'm bringing my arm across, you're reaching and taking that shoulder down at the same time. Just holding there for a bit. Go back to your breath for a moment. Just notice your breath. And then we'll release and take that the opposite direction. Again, the shoulder of that extended arm, keeping that down. Lots of buzzing bees this morning. Singing birds. And if you're using a blanket, a block, whatever on which to sit, you can place that aside. Maybe your block's just at the top of your mat. Let's come to your hands and knees, tabletop position. So my wrists are directly below my shoulders, my knees below my hips. And rather than start with cat-cow, I'm going to use a little forearm flow here. This is compliments of my sister. Shout out to her, Shelly. She showed me this first. We're going to take one forearm to the ground. As I do, my chin is coming to the opposite shoulder, and I'm just kind of leaning back onto my heels. Coming back up to tabletop. On the exhale, bring my opposite forearm to ground, my chin to the opposite shoulder, just sitting the hips back toward my heels. I'm not really coming to sit on the heels, just leaning back that way. So just move at your breath pace. Your inhale, you're coming back to tabletop, letting your neck just extend naturally from your spine. Your exhale, you're bringing one forearm to the ground and then the other. Inhale to tabletop. Exhale, forearm to ground. Always move at your breath pace. You don't have to move with me if your breath pace is a little different. Move at your pace. And the next time you come up to tabletop, if you've evened that out on both sides, go ahead and even that out on both sides if you haven't. A little bit of cat-cow here. Reminder to doggy to stay away. He's wanting to wander into our video. Inhale, let the belly sink, open your chest, gaze up. Exhale, round the back, draw your belly button toward your spine, chin to chest. Inhale, shine your heart skyward, gaze up. Exhale, tuck the tailbone, pull that belly button toward the spine, bring your gaze toward your navel. Chakravakasana, cat-cow. Continue to move at your pace. Fingertips spread wide here. Bringing weight into those mounds below the fingers, particularly that mound below your index fingers. Just avoiding the dumping of weight into any one portion of the hand, those outer edges of your hand. Maybe rotating the hips a little bit in one direction and then the other, just creating some circles with the hips. And again, as you even that out on both sides, I'm going to come back to my neutral tabletop puppy pose. So my hips stay right where they are. I'm going to drop those forearms to the ground once again, both forearms. This time walk my hands forward and bring my forehead to rest on the mat. So hips stay in the air. Bring your forehead to the ground. I'm going to bring mine back up just so I can talk to you guys. But you immediately feel that stretch in the shoulders. If you've had an injury at any point or that's just too uncomfortable, you'll walk your forearms back in a bit closer to you, bringing them as close as you need to for that to be comfortable. If you're okay with that stretch, you can walk the fingertips toward the top of your mat as far forward as you like, increasing that stretch through the shoulders. I love this for shoulder stretch. And then as you're ready, we're going to come into child's pose. Bring your big toes together. Create a little more space between your knees. I brought my knees almost the width of my mat, really whatever feels good to you. Sit your hips back on your heels. And again, we're going to walk the hands forward. Bring our forehead to rest on the mat. Child's pose. 3 to 5 nice deep breaths here. Come back to your breath again. Just notice your inhale, your exhale as your belly, your ribs expand and contract. And the inhale will come upright once again, back to tabletop. Again, a little bit different than my regular flow. Those of you that are used to flowing with me that think you know what's coming next, today's a little bit different. Tabletop position, shoulders over the wrist. Let's thread the needle. On the inhale, I'm going to take the right hand into the air. Let's just stay here for a breath. Stretch up. If your gaze permits, if your posture permits, glancing up toward that lifted arm for a moment. And then on the exhale, thread the needle. Take that hand under the body, sweep it through, bringing your right shoulder, your right temple to the ground. So your hips are still in the air, and as you arrive there, same thing here. If you want more stretch across the shoulder, across the back rather, you can walk your left hand further toward the top of the mat. If not, it can stay right where it is or even wrap behind the back. And on the inhale, let's come back to tabletop. I'm going to sweep that right hand back into the air, one more stretch up, and exhale back to ground. We'll do the same thing on the other side. So inhale, take your left hand into the air, stay there a breath. And your exhale, sweep that arm below, thread the needle, take your left shoulder, left temple to ground. Same options with the right hand. You can walk that hand forward, creating stretch. You can even bring your fingertips, bring your hand onto your fingertips, a cupped position with your palm, if you will. Hand can stay outstretched. You can leave it right there beside your head or wrap it behind the back. When I bring mine behind the back, I like to tuck my fingers, my hand, between my torso and that opposite thigh. And on the inhale, come back to tabletop. Take that left hand into the air as you inhale, stretch up. And exhale back to ground. Let's come back to child's pose one more time. Bring the big toes together, sit back on the heels, reach those fingertips forward, stretch. Bring your forehead to rest on the mat. This time on your exhale, let's walk the hands to the top right corner of the mat, and as you arrive there, if you like, you can place your left hand above your right to give you a little more stretch. We're going to stay there 3 to 5 breaths. And as you inhale, come back to the center. Your exhale, walk the hands to the top left corner of the mat. Same thing there. You've got the option to place your right palm above your left hand if you choose. Your inhale, let's walk the hands back to center. Couple breaths here. And inhale, let's slide forward to plank, our first plank. Shoulders over the wrist. Nice strong line from your shoulders to your heels. And we're going to do a little rocking back and forth, so I'm not staying anywhere long. We'll hang out in our down dog a little bit later, but on your exhale, go ahead, come into your first down dog. You're going to lift your hips high, take them up and back as you press through the hands. Inhale, come right back to plank. So if you're a beginner and you're just modifying, this is difficult, just let your knees touch the ground. So exhale, I'm going to lift the hips, press through the hands, take my chest toward the thighs. Inhale, come back to plank. Again, if you need to drop your knees to the ground. Exhale one more time, down dog. Lift the hips. Imagine a rope pulling our hips up and back. Inhale, back to plank. And this time we're going to hang out in our down dog. Press the chest toward the thighs. Heels pressing toward the ground. So if you need to keep bending your knees or bring your stance wider to make this more comfortable, feel free. Regardless, again, we're pressing through the hands, fingertips still spread nice and wide. Stay strong across your shoulders, that space between the shoulders, we don't want it to sag, we're staying strong there. Lengthening from our wrist to our hips, so put a bend in one knee and then the other, just walk it out for a moment. You can stretch out your toes, rise onto your toes if you like. Anything that feels good. We're going to go through a couple of sun salutations. Again, if you're a beginner, I'll walk you through that. On the inhale, we're going to take a peek forward. Your exhale, walk or float to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Hands rest on the shins. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, slowly take those hands for the sky. We're going to reach up and stretch up. And I'm a little bit chopped off your screen. I think just my upper hands is stretching toward the sky here. Exhale, bring your hands to heart center. Inhale, take those hands back to the sky. Stretch up. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, flat back, look forward. Exhale, plant the hands, step back to plank. So again, if you're a beginner and need to drop those knees to the ground, you can. Exhale, lower into Chaturanga. So we're just lowering our upper body to the ground. Inhale, press through the hands, up dog. Open the chest. Keep shoulders strong. Again, we're not sinking there, but stay strong there. Exhale, flip the feet, down dog. Press through the hands and lift those hips high once again. Again, link from your wrist to your hips. Imagine making that space between wrist and hips as long as possible. Another sun salutation. Inhale, take a peek forward. Exhale, step or float to the top of the mat. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, reach those hands high. Reach up, stretch up. A little bit of a back bend here. On your inhale, let's create some arch in the lower back. So bring your gaze to your fingertips. You can get as much out of this back bend as you want. You're just pressing the hips, the belly forward. The chest open to the sky. Your next exhale, bring hands to heart center. Inhale, hands high, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, swan dive forward. Inhale, flat back, look forward. On the exhale, plant those hands, step back to plank. Lower into Chaturanga. Again, options, drop the knees. Keep shoulders at or above the elbows as you go down. Go down slowly, no hurry. Inhale, up dog. And exhale, flip the feet, down dog. Press the chest toward the thighs once again. Little upper body flow. On the inhale, let's take that right foot into the air. As you exhale, sweep it forward. Plant it between your palms. Inhale, let's bring both hands to the sky. Stretch up, high lunge. Exhale, bring those hands behind the back. I'm going to bring palms to opposite elbows. And slowly fold forward, humble warrior. So if you like here, you can bring your hands forward on an exhale, reach forward. As you inhale, bring them back behind your back again. If you're a beginner and this is difficult, just stay in that high lunge position if you wish. You can stay upright for a moment and just hang out in that high lunge. One more time. As I exhale, I'm bringing hands forward, reaching forward. Inhale, bring those hands behind the back. Inhale, come back to high lunge. Take those hands high. And exhale, warrior two. I'm going to have my back turned this time. I'll face you next time, but it's kind of good for you to see both angles. Shoulders are over hips here. Pressing into the outside edge of my back foot. My back foot is angled. I've planted my back foot. It's at about a 45-degree angle. Front foot facing the front of the mat. Most of my weight in that front foot is in the heel. I've got my right knee over the ankle. If you find it forward, just widen your stance. On the inhale, let's reach up, stretch up. Exhale, come back to warrior two. Could have been in that front leg once again. Inhale, straighten the front leg. Reach toward the front of your mat, create length. And as you exhale, let the right hand sink, your left hand float toward the sky, triangle pose. We're trying to line up the back of our head, our shoulder blades, our bottom in the same plane. So notice I'm not reaching all the way to the floor. If I go that far, I tend to roll in my upper body and lose that back body alignment. This is a nice position for your block if you've got a block. Triangle pose, great use for that block. Your next exhale, put a bend back in that front leg. Let's bring the left hand to the ground. Again, if you've got a block, nice time to use your block. Left hand stays at the ground or on that block. Inhale, right hand to the sky, revolve side angle. So your left heel might have popped from the mat. That's fine if it did. If you can keep it planted there, you'll do so. And I'm pulling those hips in as close to one another as I can. Exhale, I'm going to reach my right hand forward. Inhale, I'm going to take it back to the sky. One more time. Exhale, reach that right hand forward. Inhale, take it back to the sky. Exhale, bring both hands to ground. Square up the hips. We're going to step back to plank. And exhale, down dog. Again, if you're beginning, widen your stance. Keep some bend in your knees. You can stay right there and just walk it out. If you choose on the inhale, take a peek under your right armpit. Take the left hand to the right hip. Option to slide it all the way down that right leg. Get a really good stretch. Revolve down dog. Exhale, both hands back to the ground. Down dog. Inhale, do the same thing on the opposite side. Peek under the left armpit. Take your right hand to the left hip. Slide it, if you choose, all the way down that left leg. Exhale, down dog. Let's do the other side. On the inhale, take that left leg into the air. Exhale, sweep it forward. Inhale, high lunge. Stretch those hands high. Reach up. If you're a beginner, feel free to stay right here. If you're going further, exhale. Bring the hands behind the back. On the inhale, we'll just open the chest a bit. I've got palms to opposite elbows. Your next exhale, fold forward. You can go ahead and give yourself a little more stability. Pivot and plant that back foot if you choose, if that's okay with your hips. Your left shoulder may rest on your left thigh. I'm not putting a lot of weight there, but you can rest that shoulder on your thigh if you choose. Neck extending naturally from the spine. Exhale, reach the hands forward. Inhale, once again, bring them behind the back. Exhale, forward. Inhale, bring them behind the back. One more time. On your next inhale, let's come upright. Take those hands high. And exhale, warrior two. Pivot and plant that back foot if you haven't done so. Shoulders over hips. Fairly neutral spine here. My arms are parallel to ground. Reminder for doggy to stay away. Again, back foot angled, front foot facing the front of the mat. Inhale, reach up, stretch up, straighten both legs. Exhale, back to warrior two. Inhale, straighten your front leg once again. Let's create length from our waist through that left armpit. Reach as far as you can. On your exhale, left hand sinks, right hand rises. Again, nice time for a block if you choose. Lining up the back of the head, the shoulder blades, the bottom. In the same plane, imagine this pose against a wall. You can see me adjust and trying to find that alignment. If you've got an empty wall at home, it's very enlightening, even as an instructor, to try this against a wall and see what that alignment feels like. Exhale, put a bend in your front leg. Take that right hand to ground. Again, feel free to use your block. Inhale, left hand high, revolve side angle. Trim those hips up along the center line of your mat. Exhale, reach your left hand forward. Inhale, take it high. One more time. Exhale, left hand forward. Inhale, high. And exhale, take both hands to the mat. Step back to plank, flow through your Vinyasa, so we'll lower into Chaturanga. Inhaling to up dog, press through the mat, open the chest. Exhale, flip those feet down dog. Let's make our way to child's pose. Time for a water break. If you want to grab a sip of water, or just come back to your breath for a moment. Drop your knees to the ground. Sit back on the heels. I've created space once again between the knees. Walk your torso forward, lower it to the mat. We're bringing the forehead to the mat as you just let your heart melt into the earth. A little bit of a water break. From your child's pose, let's come forward once again to plank. Slide forward, shoulders over wrist. Exhale, down dog. Different flow this time. Inhale, take the right foot into the air. Exhale, sweep it forward. Inhale, high lunge. Reach those hands high. Again, right knee over the ankle or behind. This time on the exhale, I'm just going to line up my arms alongside my body and try to line up my torso in line with that back leg. So I'm still in a lunge position, but a runner's lunge. Inhale, I'm taking the hands high. Once again, stretch up. Exhale again, that runner's lunge. Line up the top body with the lower body. Inhale, back to high lunge. Exhale, line it up. One more time. This time on the inhale, simply pivot and plant your back foot, straighten the front leg. I'm preparing for pyramid pose. So front foot is straight, back foot angled. As you're ready on an exhale, fold forward. Let's come to a flat back position first here. And again, great time to use the blocks. Both legs as straight as I can make them. Neutral spine. Let your spine be long here. And then if you wish to lower your blocks and fold into that further, you can. We're going to be moving from here to Revolve Triangle. So I'm going to keep my left hand on the block. Inhale, right hand high. If you're a beginner, or even if you're not, just depending on the tightness of your hamstrings and muscles through the leg, you may need to put some bend in that front leg, so that's fine. Revolved triangle, our gaze simply to the side, maybe taking a peek up toward that lifted hand. Exhale, let's bring hands back to the block. I'm going to square up my hips and then drop the left knee, top of the left foot to the ground. We're just going to flow in and out of this for a moment. So my left knee's on the ground. As I exhale, I'm going to come forward. I'm letting my knee surpass my ankle now. Inhale, I'm going to walk the hips back until they're lined up over that left knee. I'm straightening my right leg as I do so, and I'm going to slide my heel forward to create a little more space there. Exhale again, walk the hands, the hips forward, open the chest, little low lunge there. Inhale, walk the hips back, straighten that right leg, flex the foot. One more time, exhale, lunge forward. Inhale back, and this time we're going to hang out. So again, you can use those blocks. I've got my hips lined up over my left knee. Front leg is as straight as I can make it. Again, if you're really tight, it may not be straight, and that's fine. Foot is flexed because of the blocks, and with keeping a long spine, trying to keep my spine as straight as I can, just walking those blocks forward a bit more. So I'm not, as you can see, I'm not folded into this really far. This is one of those poses you might see on Instagram sometimes, and folks will round their back, go ahead and fold into their leg. That's fine. But for the stretch, you get a great stretch staying right here, and that's really our goal. Couple more nice deep breaths. Your exhale, let's put a bend in that front knee once again. Bring the hands back to the mat. I'm going to bring both hands inside the foot. So I've walked my right foot to the side so that both my hands are inside the foot, my shoulders over the hips. My shoulders over my wrist rather. I'm in an upright lizard pose here. Option to stay right here if you're a beginner. You can also take your block and lower forearms to the block. If you're still okay there, if your hips can tolerate it, you can remove the block and take your forearms to the ground. I'm just going to let my head hang here. We're going to stay here 8 to 10 breaths. A little longer time period, but getting that openness in the hips. So a flow that was structured in the beginning around what I felt like I needed in the upper body, but we're certainly getting lots of lower body stretch. And I can feel stretch across my back even right now. That's the beautiful thing about yoga. You'll find certain postures that you like to target certain areas of your body, but so much benefit in each posture. As you inhale, let's come back to the upright position. Place those shoulders over the wrist. We're going to step back to plank. If you choose flow through your Vinyasa, you can lower slowly into Chaturanga here, inhaling to up dog. Remember, beginners, you can drop your knees there, or you can go straight to child's pose. Exhale, down dog. Couple breaths there. And let's take a little stretch / water break in child's pose. Bringing my knees to the ground, big toes together. Comfortable space between the knees, just letting my belly, my chest melt toward the ground, my forehead resting on the ground. Five to 8 breaths here. Grab a sip of water as you need it. When you're ready, we're going to slide forward into plank. From your plank position, exhale, down dog. Inhale, take that left foot into the air. Exhale, sweep it forward. Inhale, high lunge. Reach those hands high. Again, option here to stay in the ball of your back foot or plant that back foot. Pivot and plant that back foot. And our same flow as a while ago. So on the exhale, I'm lining up my upper body, and I've got the benefit of seeing myself in the camera. Lining up the upper body with that back leg. Inhale, come upright to high lunge. Exhale, line it up. Inhale, high lunge. One more time. Your exhale, inhale rather, let's straighten the front leg. Just bring the hands to the hips. If you haven't planted that back foot, go ahead, pivot and plant the back foot. Back foot is angled. Hips squared up toward the front of the mat. Then on the exhale, start to fold forward. I'm going to grab my blocks. On an inhale, maybe coming to a flat back position. If you're not already, try to keep that spine as long as you can. And then option to fold into it. I'd encourage you here to try to keep some length in your spine rather than just rounding completely down. See if you can keep some length in the spine here. Three to 4 more breaths. We're going to move from here to Revolve Triangle. So right hand stays at the ground or on a block. Inhale, left hand high, stretch up. And exhale, bring that hand back to the block. We'll put a bend in the front leg. Bring your right knee to the ground as you square up those hips. You can just set the blocks there at the top of the mat. A little flow. So inhale, I'm walking the hips back. Line them up over that right knee. Straighten my front leg, flex the foot. Exhale, I'm going to come forward, walk those hips, those hands forward into a lunge. My left knee is beyond my ankle in this point. Inhale, come back. As I do, I'm sliding that left heel forward there to create a little more space. Hips over the right knee. Attack of would-be's there. Exhale, forward. Inhale, back. One more time. Exhale, forward. And this time I'm going to stay back. So feel free to use those blocks. Hips over the right knee, my left leg as straight as I can make it, foot flexed. Then option to walk your hands. Maybe you're on blocks, maybe you're just on your mat. Walk the hands forward. Try to keep some length in the spine here, and I'm getting a fabulous stretch through the left hamstring. Keeping a nice long spine. Yoga is also great for, I believe it's called proprioception, your sense of where your body is. So I mentioned a while ago my being able to cheat and kind of look in the camera to see my alignment. You'll get better and better at knowing where your body is and finding the proper alignment because you know what your body is doing as you do yoga. Some people have naturally a better sense of that, of where their body is and what it's doing from the beginning, but yoga certainly helps you develop that. So if you feel like you struggle there, especially if you're just starting out, that will improve. Exhale. Let's bend that knee once again. Walk the hands and hips forward. I'm going to bring both hands inside the left foot, shoulders over the wrist. Nice open pose, so I'm in an upright lizard. I can stay right here. If you're beginning, this is probably all the stretch you want. This may be challenging in itself. You can take a block, bring forearms to the block. If you're still okay there, option to take those forearms to the ground. I'm going to let the head hang. We're going to stay here 8 to 10 breaths. If at any point you need to come up out of that, come out of that. Remember your practice. If it doesn't feel right, certainly if there's any pain, tingling, numbness, you want to come out of something. We're looking lots of times for a comfortable, uncomfortable, if that makes sense. Not looking to create pain, really, but finding your edge in terms of creating work for yourself and creating a good stretch without going to a place that you know you're doing something your body doesn't need or want. Inhale, I'm going to slowly come back to the upright position, plant my shoulders under the wrist, flip that back foot, step back to plank. Spend a moment there, just find that nice strong line. So I'm keeping my bottom low but my hips high. Line from shoulders to wrist, shoulders to hip, shoulder to heels rather, tongue tied. We're going to lower into our Chaturanga slowly. If you're a beginner, drop those knees to the ground. Shoulders stay at or above the elbows as you lower. When you're ready, inhale, press through the mat. Up dog. Exhale, flip those feet, down dog. 3 to 5 breaths here, anything you need. Think about spinning your biceps inward toward your ears. Notice that space between your shoulders. We're staying strong there, not letting that space sink. And as you exhale, let's just come to a seated position. We're going to bring the feet in front of the body. Bring your feet about the width of your mat. You're going to take a little twist here in deer pose. So for a moment, let's just kind of wiper the knees left and right, just rolling onto one hip, if you will, and then the other. And as I let my knees fall to the right again, I'm going to let them fall all the way to the ground. So I've got about a 90-degree bend in both legs, not quite, but almost that. Set up with a nice tall spine. Again, imagine that string at the top of the head, crown of the head, pulling us toward the ceiling. We're going to twist from that upright spine, just a gentle twist. Hands can rest here on the ground. Just gazing back over that right shoulder. Wherever your chin comes, your gaze can come to that same point. 4 to 5 breaths here. And then inhale, come back to center. Let's extend your right leg. I'm going to take the left foot. I'm going to bring that leg to ground, a bend in the knee, and just bring my left foot inside the right thigh. If you're a beginner, you can help this pose by placing a blanket under your bottom there and giving yourself a little lift here. So my right leg is straight, left foot just resting in the thigh. Inhale, take the hands into the air, stretch up. As you exhale, twist toward the outside edge of your foot as if you're squaring up those hips with the foot and fold forward. Hands wherever they come for you. They may just wrap around either side of your shin. You might be able to reach your ankles, the foot. Fold into this, 5 to 8 breaths here. Inhale, let's take those hands to the sky, reach up, and exhale, hands to heart center. Bring those feet back to the mat, about the width of your mat. And again, just a little windshield wiper left and right, if you will. I'm sort of rocking from one hip to the other. And the next time I fall to the left, I'm going to stay there. Find some length in my spine. So you see I adjusted my sitting position then just to find that tall spine once again. I'm going to look over the left shoulder. 3 to 5 breaths here. And inhale, bring those knees back to center. Let's lengthen the left leg. Right foot's going to rest inside the left thigh. So I brought that right leg to ground, a bend in the knee. Right thigh resting against the right foot resting against the left thigh. Inhale, arms to the sky, stretch up. Your exhale, twist toward the outside edge of your foot and fold. 5 to 8 breaths. Inhale, take those hands upright, stretch up, and exhale, hands to heart center. Let's bring both heels in a little closer to the body, not as far as you can. I've got about, my heels are about a foot away from my body, yours may be further. Again, if you're a beginner, you could keep a blanket, you could prop a blanket under you here for this pose to make it more accessible. I'm just going to walk my hands forward, just a seated forward fold. So you're feeling lots of stretch across the back. Again, this stretch, this flow, inspired by some upper body soreness. So as I do this, I'm feeling not only stretch across the back, down my spine, but I'm feeling it in the glutes, across the lower back, my hips. Again, the beautiful thing about yoga. And let's just come upright. Let's cross the legs. We're going to do the same thing with crossed legs. And again, on an exhale, just walk those hands forward, coming into a little bit further this time. Inhale, slowly bring hands upright, stretch up. And exhale, hands to heart center. Bring yourself to a lying position. Checking our time here, we're good on time. Again, if you're a beginner, you can just roll to your side, lie down on your back. If you're used to practicing, doing a little bit of practicing, you develop some core strength to work that core strength. You can lower slowly, one vertebra at a time. You can even use your block for this. You get a little shoulder rotation here. If you press into your pinkies, I'm rotating the shoulders out just a bit. We're going to lower as slowly as we can. You don't want to strain the back, so if you're feeling strain in the lower back at some point, just stop, roll over, and lie down. But lowering to the mat as slowly as you can, as if you're placing one vertebra at a time. So I'm engaging my core. I can feel my core shake as I'm going down here. And imagining just one vertebra at a time lying down on the mat until I'm fully on the mat. I'm going to bring my heels in below my knees. My arms are resting right alongside my torso, palms down. Heels, knees are hip width apart. And let's just take a moment here, again, to windshield wiper your knees left and right for a moment. And then as you even that out, Heels below your knees. Notice the feet on the mat. Start to press through those feet as if you're pressing the earth away from your body. Press the hips toward the ceiling, toward the sky. Option to walk your shoulder blades down and under. Walk them in under your back just a bit and interlace the hands if you wish. Rotate your thighs inward. We're in bridge pose. My thighs, glutes immediately engaged, core is engaged. On your next inhale, give this one more press toward the ceiling and exhale, slowly lower. Let's bring your arms wider to either side of the body. Bring your feet wide once again, even maybe toward the edges of the mat. And once again, windshield wiper those legs left and right. The next time you come right, we're going to hold there. Just let your knees fall all the way to the right. Your gaze can stay to the sky or to that left hand. Maybe your eyes are closed at this point. Start to let your body fully relax and feel heavy on the mat. Begin to notice your breath once again. Inhale, we'll bring the knees back to center. We'll let them fall slowly the opposite direction. And same thing here. Your gaze can come to the ceiling or the right hand. Nice use for the blocks in this pose. If your lower knee doesn't come to ground, you can place a block under that knee so that your legs are propped on something and you don't feel that you're having to work, so to speak, in this pose. You're getting a nice stretch, but you don't want to have to hold the legs in position here. Inhale, let's bring the knees back to center. As you exhale, tuck those knees into the chest. Wrap the hands around the legs. Rest the hands on the shins. Just rock side to side for a moment. Massage your lower back. And if you'll rock into a seated position with me, which is also a little bit different for this practice, I'm going to show you another option for our ending pose. If this is not for you and you want to end in a lying position on your back in Shavasana, that's fine. I'm going to show you legs up the wall pose using a, let's see where I run out of camera here. Yeah, I think this works perfectly. So you're going to find a wall in your house. I'm going to walk my hips up as close to that wall as I can. And then even once I arrive there, I'm going to have to crawl myself closer to the wall. I'm going to bring both feet to rest on the pole, wall in your case. And you can choose any arm position you'd like here. In a moment, I'll come back to seated so I can talk to you guys. But you're just going to let your legs rest on the wall. My home yogis tend to love this one, some gals that practice with me here at home. It's a great pose in terms of relaxation. It should be a calming pose for you. It's nice in terms of circulation because obviously we're in a position that we don't normally find ourselves during the day with our feet in the air. Hands can rest on your body. You can open arms up out to the side, alongside your torso, even up above your head, really whatever you like here. Just find a spot that feels good to you. Again, I'm going to come to the upright position to talk to you. You guys stay right there. First of all, let me say thanks for your patience in sharing my outdoor space. Again, I know the video is a little bit different today. Some sights and sounds you're not used to hearing in my yoga practices. But hopefully they were calming for you. I love practicing in my backyard and just listening to the breeze, the trees, the bees. So in a moment I'll be quiet and let you enjoy that and stay right there in your pose. As you're in that relaxed position with your legs up the wall, or if you chose just lying there in Shavasana, start to get in touch with your body again. Notice any tension that still remains. Notice your face muscles. You might even scrunch up your face and then relax. Release your jaw, allowing some space between your upper and lower teeth. Allow your collarbone to widen. If you're in legs up the wall pose especially, we tend to hold stress in our chest at times, as you guys know. A lot of emotions held in the gut, the hip area, but we certainly feel stress in our chest. So widen your collarbone. If there's anything in particular that is a burden to you, you might even picture some things sitting on your chest at this moment, and then visualize whether they be blocks stacked on your chest or whatever you want to visualize. Picture them falling off the chest, maybe something that can roll. Maybe they're balls stacked up on the chest at first, and you're picturing them rolling to either side, perhaps a container holding a heavy liquid, and you can feel that rolling from the upper body, leaving you, rolling from the shoulders, away from your body, out onto the floor, spreading away from you. Just picture those burdens falling off your chest and rolling away. And then notice your belly, soften your belly. Just as we did in the beginning of the practice, notice the movement. Notice the belly expanding, filling with air. No awareness of the shape of our belly. Just let it fill with air as you breathe in, and notice the movement when you breathe out. Your arms, hands, legs, feet weightless, fully relying on that support below. I invite you to stay here as long as you like. Again, thanks so much for being with me today. The light and love in me humbly acknowledges the light and love in each one of you. Namaste.